With ChatGPT 4 driving the world crazy, it would be predictable if I had a Silicon Valley story for you. But no, I want to be a little unpredictable. So I am little north of Silicon Valley, in another valley. And it is a story of that valley that I want to share today. So let me begin with a question. If I were to speak of wine or wine producing areas, which are the places that comes to your mind? Practically, all of you would have thought France, followed probably by Italy and Spain, right? How many of you thought California? But this is where I am, in Napa Valley, California, with this wonderful Cabernet Sauvignon grown and produced here. And I also just realized that what I'm doing now, that is tasting wine at the source, has a name. This is called eno-tourism. And I must say that I quite enjoy this tourism. But that said, I want to tell you a story of how California cornered a share of the world's wine market. And that happened very recently. Common sense would tell you that any fruit or vegetable should flourish in a region that has the right soil or climate for it. But for centuries, the French spoke of terroir, the perfect combination of soil and microclimate that can create truly great wines. And they insisted that only France had the right terroir, much like Scots insist that it is only their soft spring water that can create the finest whiskies. So the world believed the French, till a tiny incident occurred in 1976. In Paris, an Englishman who had a wine shop in Paris got together some of France's most respected wine experts for a blind tasting. It was an incident so insignificant that it was covered by just one journalist, a writer called George Tabor, who was sent by Time magazine, and that too only because he was fluent in French. The tasting had both Californian and French wines. When the results were announced, the Californian wines came out on top, both whites and reds. This shocked the audience and judges themselves, who were certain that the wines they had graded higher were French. Even then, it was not considered news by Time magazine, which tucked away the report in just 4 paragraphs under lifestyle section under the headline Judgment in Paris. But the repercussions of this tiny news would change the world of wine and, of course, Napa Valley. Winemaking has begun in Napa Valley in 1860s. By the end of the century, there were about 200 wineries in the region. But then came pests and, even worse, the American Prohibition, which left only a handful of wineries operational. But the judgment in Paris in 1976 changed everything. Today, there are more than 500 wineries in Napa Valley, and it is one of the world's leading wine producing regions. Over 4.5 million eno tourists visits Napa Valley every year. And I must assure you that every one of those tourists return very happy. And I'm so fascinated by this Napa Valley butterfly effect. How one tasting changed an entire industry, that I forgot to mention that the region is stunning. If you have watched the movies A Walk in the Cloud or Wine Country, you know what I'm talking about. It is the kind of landscape that makes you just relax and enjoy the horizon Or maybe it is the wine making me feel that way. If you want more on this story, there's a fun movie called Bottle Shock on Amazon Prime. There's also a book called Judgment in Paris by George Tabor, the journalist who broke the story. You go and sample that. Why I sample Champagne, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon. There are a few more.